Dawn breaks cold and colorless over the North Sea. A pale sheet of cloud stretches to the horizon, and beneath it, the ocean stirs restlessly slate gray, whispering of hidden depths. Along the harbor, a hulking iron vessel groans against its moorings. Her hull is scarred from past battles with the sea, her decks slick with salt. Around her, men move with the rhythm of long-practiced ritual. They are not talking much, only the thud of boots, the clank of metal, the hiss of steam. Their faces are creased by wind and work, their eyes hard and steady. Each one knows what lies ahead, not just another haul, but a confrontation with a creature whispered about across years, across vessels, across generations. A whale massive beyond belief, almost myth. Some say it's too big to be real. Others claim it sank boats before. No matter the truth, the men prepare as if they are going to war. Harpoons are checked, lines coiled tight, winches oiled and run. The cold bites into fingers, the air already thick with diesel in tension. Inside the wheelhouse, the captain studies the radar. Green pulses blink in the half-light. Nothing yet, but they all feel it. The hunt has begun. Beyond the breakwaters, the sea waits, and somewhere within it, so does the beast. The engines rumble to life, low and thunderous, sending vibrations through every steel plate. Ropes are cast off. The harbor fades behind them, swallowed by mist. Out ahead, only endless water. The ship surges forward into the open sea, a lone titan slicing through swells that rise and fall like sleeping giants. Cold wind lashes the deck, sharp as blades. Rain spits sideways. Seabirds cry overhead and then vanish into the gray. Below, the depths remain unknowable. Inside the control room, the crew huddles in dim light. The green glow of sonar and radar screens pulses steadily, ghostly echoes in a digital fog. Out on the deck, the men move with purpose. Harnesses are buckled tighter. Waterproof gear clings like armor. No laughter now, only focus. They've all heard the stories of the whale too big to fight, of lines snapped like twine, of men lost to silence. But stories don't stop a job. The sea is the same as always, cold, cruel, and hungry. One misstep, one slack line, one missed signal, and it claims what it wants. Still, they go forward. Still, they chase. The only certainty is motion. The ship rolls deeper into the abyss, swallowed by mist, guided only by the steady pulse of the hunt. On the slick, rolling deck, the men move like clockwork, silent, mechanical, exact. Harpoons are hauled from storage and laid out like ancient weapons across steel benches. Their tips are polished, sharp enough to split muscle and memory. Each is inspected for faults, the cables for frays, the winches for tension. Mist clings to the men's faces, beating in their beards, soaking through layers of rubber and wool. Every movement is deliberate, every glance heavy with meaning. These are not green hands. They are men who've stared into the chaos of waves and shadows and returned barely. They know what's coming. You don't face a legend with loose bolts or rusty steel. The harpoon launchers are aligned with the bow. Hydraulic arms twitch to life with low moans. Knives are honed. Hooks hung on thick loops along the rail. And still, beneath the routine, there is a silence deeper than the sea. Not reverence, not fear. Something older, like standing at the edge of a battlefield before the first horn is blown. From the bridge, the captain watches the rhythm unfold below. Through the thickened glass, he sees the men preparing not just for a hunt, but for a reckoning. This isn't fishing. This is the ancient ritual of man versus Leviathan. And soon, the sea will choose its victor. A sudden chirp from the sonar cuts through the hush like a spark in dry wood. Inside the control room, the crew leans in. On the glowing screen, a shadow emerges, enormous, slow-moving, and deep. A blip that shouldn't exist at that size. The captain stiffens. Mark it. His voice is low but sharp. Coordinates are called out. The ship adjusts course. The engines shift their tone, pushing harder into the belly of the mist. Below deck, the tension tightens like a cable under strain. Out on the deck, the crew is already moving. Harpoons are armed. Winches are set to manual. Eyes scan the horizon, though the sea offers no clue. Only the endless rise and fall of gray. Then the radar confirms it. A massive form is circling, just beyond visual range. It's not a school. not a rock. This thing moves with intent, with weight. The men know they've found it, or it's found them. A gust of wind slams the port side. Rain begins to fall in sheets. Visibility drops, and yet, every man stands taller. Hands on ropes, on rails, on steel. The calm before the storm is over. Below the hull, something stirs older than memory, stronger than steel. The hunt is no longer coming. It has arrived. The surface erupts without warning. A thunderous column of water explodes into the air as the giant breaches its massive back, arcing through the mist like a rising mountain of muscle and bone. For a moment, the world freezes. Then chaos. "Harpoon ready," someone yells. The first shot whistles through the air, a streak of metal slicing into the sea. A heartbeat later, the line jerks violently. The cable tightens with a shriek, and the deck lurches as the beast dives. The harpoon holds. The ship groans. Men scramble for footing. The ropes whip and whine against the pulleys, steel singing under strain. 2 crewmen are nearly pulled overboard. Another slams into the railing, gritting his teeth as he clutches the main line with raw hands. The captain barks commands through the roar of wind and water. On deck, the harpoon crew resets for a second shot, breathless, soaked, but relentless. Below the surface, the whale pulls like a god woken from slumber, furious and strong. The ship shudders under its strength, dragged sideways, forced to match the creature's will. In the distance, waves begin to mount like walls, but no one looks away from the lines. This is the moment every story warned about. And still, they fight. The whale dives deep, the line screaming as it unspools, taut as a steel wire stretched to the brink. The ship tilts slightly, its hull resisting the invisible force below. On deck, boots slide across wet metal as the crew strains against the pull. Muscles burn, hands blister. The creature is not fleeing, it's fighting. Every tug is a challenge, every surge a threat to the integrity of the gear, the balance of the men, the soul of the ship. Harpoons are locked, a second shot is fired, then a third. Each one lands with brutal precision, but still the whale thrashes, its tail breaking the surface in violent arcs that drench the stern and rock the vessel. Water floods the deck, sweeping gear, and nearly a man overboard. The winch motor groans, resisting the power that threatens to snap it apart. Below the surface, the cables slice through the current like veins tethered to a myth. The creature's force is elemental, ancient, unyielding. Yet above, the men hold firm, grit clenched in jaws, shouts barely heard over the thunder of the storm. No one speaks of retreat. No one looks away. The ship, the men, and the whale are now locked in a savage waltz, each testing the limits of the other. The sky darkens as if the ocean itself called down a storm to defend its guardian. Rain slashes sideways. The sea surges in towering walls, battering the ship with relentless fury. Thunder rolls above. Lightning licks the horizon. And still, the whale fights. It lunges downward again, dragging the iron vessel into a terrifying tilt. The harpoon lines shriek under strain. One snaps, whipping back like a serpent. A crewman ducks just in time. Another stumbles but keeps hold of the railing, knuckles white beneath soaked gloves. "Reload!" the captain shouts from the bridge, barely audible over the cacophony. A fourth harpoon is fired deeper, stronger. It pierces just behind the dorsal ridge, and the cable locks. The monster shudders. A spray of blood mixes with seawater, red fading quickly into the gray. But the whale does not yield. It spins, slaps, dives again, dragging tons of steel like a toy. Yet the crew adapts. They shift their footing, redistribute their grip, shout new angles, reroute lines. This is no longer just a hunt, it's survival. The beast wants freedom, the sea wants tribute. But the men, cold to the core and soaked in sweat and brine, want victory. The balance teeters with every scream of wind, every roar of beast, every groan of cable. Then, slowly, almost imperceptibly, the tide begins to shift. The great whale, once a tempest in flesh, starts to tire. Its dives grow shallower, its thrashes more labored. Blood seeps from its wounds in long, dark ribbons beneath the surface, diffusing into the sea like ink in water. On deck, the crew senses it. They move with renewed urgency. Commands come faster. Harpoon lines are reinforced. Hooks are prepared. The ship, once at the mercy of the beast, now circles with purpose. The men pull in tandem, silent, focused, relentless. Each winch groans under the returning mass, but it holds. Slowly, the cables draw the Leviathan closer. The whale surfaces again, gasping, its massive frame rising beside the ship like a submarine breaking through ice. Its eye black, ancient, and unreadable meets the eyes of the men for a breathless second. Not rage, not fear, just the weary defiance of a creature that has outlived storms, ships, and time. The cranes extend. Steel arms descend. Harnesses lock around the great torso. The crew braces as the system lifts. Every gear grinds under strain. The sea resists one last time, sending a crashing wave across the deck, but it's not enough. The whale, weakened and bound, begins to rise. The ship groans as the full weight of the giant begins to leave the water. Cables tighten with a chorus of tension, moaning under the strain. The crane's hydraulic arms hiss, lifting the Leviathan inch by inch from the sea's grasp. Water pours from its body in torrents, sheeting off its ridged back and scarred flanks like a collapsing tide. The crew watches in silence, faces ghosted by mist and exhaustion as the whale clears the surface, suspended above the deck like a monument to everything they've endured. Its skin glistens, a patchwork of barnacles, old scars, and fresh wounds. Steam rises where cold air meets warm muscle. For a moment, no one moves, no one speaks. The only sounds are the crackle of cables, the patter of rain on steel, and the deep creak of the crane as it settles into place. Then, with a final command, the carcass is lowered onto the deck, thundering down with a weight that shakes the vessel to its bone. Men move quickly now, stepping over pooling water, grabbing tools, locking clamps. There is no time for awe. The hunt is over. The harvest begins. The whale lies still a fallen titan, and around it, the men of steel and salt prepare to take what the deep has reluctantly given up. The deck transforms into a grim ballet of motion and metal. Blades flash beneath the overcast sky, slicing into flesh that steams in the cold. Thick layers of blubber peel away under practiced hands, revealing the pale pink muscle beneath each cut deliberate. Each movement born of muscle memory and necessity. Steel hooks sink into the carcass, lifting massive slabs with a hiss of pulleys and the whine of winches. Blood and seawater mix beneath their boots, running in crimson rivulets toward scuppers draining into the sea. The men work without speech, just nods, signals, the occasional barked command over the drone of engines and the rhythmic thump of meat hitting steel. Some cut, others sort. Containers swing from cranes and vanish into refrigerated holds with mechanical grace. It is brutal, efficient, relentless. There is no room for reflection here, no time to contemplate the creature's grandeur. Only work, a job to finish before the light fades and the cold deepens. The wind howls against the hull, and the sea groans around them as if mourning what has been taken. But the men keep moving, their knives carving a story into history one slice at a time. As the last cuts are made and the final slabs secured, a strange quiet settles over the vessel. The thunder of machinery fades, replaced by the soft hiss of water washing the deck clean. The scent of salt and blood still clings to the air, but the frenzy is over. Blades are wiped, gloves are removed. Men lean against cold railings, chests heaving, eyes distant. Some stare at the horizon, where the waves now roll with less fury. Others sit on overturned crates, heads lowered, letting the ache seep into their bones. The whale, or what remains of it, has disappeared below, packed in ice and sealed behind steel doors. Its immense presence, once felt in every tremor of the ship, now lingers only in memory. A few speak in murmurs, most say nothing. The adrenaline has burned off, leaving only fatigue and the heavy quiet that comes after surviving something too large to fully understand. The ship, bruised and stained, creaks as it floats steady once more. Above, the clouds begin to break, revealing thin light in the west. But no one cheers, no one celebrates. The ocean has taken its price in fear and strength, and in return, it has given them silence. The bow turns slowly, groaning as the ship shifts course toward the faint glow of land. Engines hum with steady resolve, no longer straining, just pushing them forward through the thickening fog. The sea, once a battlefield, now lies calm, as if indifferent to the struggle it hosted only hours before. Above, the sky is a muted canvas, soft gray brushed with fading amber near the edge of dusk. On board, the men move with the sluggishness of aftermath. Some coil lines with quiet precision, others sit alone, sipping hot broth from tin cups, letting the warmth undo the cold lodged in their joints. No one mentions the whale now. Its name would feel too loud in the hush that blankets the vessel. Instead, they watch the sea roll by, their eyes tracking invisible thoughts. For all the blood and muscle, all the danger and tension, this moment the drift home is the most fragile. A time when the mind replays every pull of the line, every crack of thunder, every glimpse of that eye rising from the deep. The fog thickens, blurring the horizon, but through the mist, pinpricks of light begin to shine. The harbor is out there, waiting. The hunt is over. The reckoning returns to shore. The harbor emerges like a dream through the fog halos of yellow light, floating above water slick with reflection. As the ship slows, ropes are tossed, pulleys creak, and the groan of metal meeting dock fills the quiet. Dock hands move with rehearsed urgency, their boots clanging against the planks. One by one, the containers are lowered, sealed steel coffins bearing the remains of the Leviathan. With each thud onto solid ground, the weight of the sea seems to lift slightly. On deck, the crew is subdued. Their faces are streaked with fatigue, their gear soaked through, hands chafed raw beneath worn gloves. No cheering, no pride, just the solemn procession of a job completed. One man leans on the railing, watching the crates disappear into the belly of the dock warehouse. Another lights a cigarette with shaking fingers, shielding the flame from the wind. The captain stands on the bridge, eyes scanning the pier without focus, listening to the ship's engines wind down to a soft, final purr. Around them, the normal world resumes. Forklifts hum, radios crackle, gulls cry above. But on this deck, something lingers. Not just salt or blood, but the echo of a battle few will ever understand. And already, the sea waits again, now tethered and still. The great iron vessel seems smaller, its battleship silhouette softened by dock lights and shadow. But the weight it carries isn't just in the chilled containers below deck. It lingers in the quiet movements of the crew, in the silence that wraps around them like a second skin. They do not speak of the fight, not yet. It lives in the tension behind their eyes, in the way their fingers unconsciously trace old scars or rub salt from their stubble. Some stand at the edge of the deck, watching the oily ripples of the harbor, their minds still adrift somewhere in the open sea. Others sit on crates, sipping steaming broth, letting the heat pull them back to earth. The ship exhales in long, tired creaks. Winches are wound, blades are sheathed, gear is stowed away with reverent care. Below, the last of the whale's flesh chills in steel tombs, bound for far-off markets and sterile scales. But to these men, it is more than product, it is proof of what they endured, of what they conquered, and of what they survived. The sea may forget, but they will not tonight. Before dawn, as the harbor still slumbers beneath a sky dusted with stars, the crew gathers once more not to set sail, but to inspect, to repair, to ready. Ropes are rewound with care, blades sharpened in silence. The deck is hosed, scrubbed, scoured, though the scent of salt and blood lingers in the steel. Small dents on the starboard railing, fresh stress lines on the crane, marks of a fight not easily forgotten. No one complains. This is the rhythm of those who live by the tide. The sea gives and takes. Today it gave them a whale. Tomorrow it may take more. But these men, clad again in waterproof gear and calloused resolve, will return, because the sea never sleeps. And neither does the hunger. In the quiet, a new course is charted. Somewhere out there, beneath the cold, black vastness, another shadow stirs. Another myth, another trial. As the sun edges over the horizon, washing the dock in pale gold, the captain steps aboard once more. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. The ship groans to life, the water parts, and the hunt begins again.